check.
Bow, pull tight, crown like cold, winter light, scroll in hand, 7 seals, every word cuts and heals. Like drums, sword raised high, kingdoms come, peace unstitched by a single roar. I hear thunder at my door, wars and rumors of wars, spoken like a curse in the dark. Every headline, every scar is another cracked heart in the ark. Wars and rumors of wars, hey, echo from the prophets and seers. When the Lamb breaks the seal, all the old world shakes with our fears. Black horse ways, bread and bone, steel stilled hard, iron stone. Measure grain by a dying sun, silver short for everyone. Pale horse waits, eyes like ash, graves awake, tombs unlatch, Hades hangs on a trailing chain. Every pole spells your name. Wars and rumors of wars, spoken like
all right, we're about to get started.
Every headline, every scar's another cracked heart in the ark. Wars and rumors of wars, echo from the prophets and seers. When the Lamb breaks the seal, all the old world shakes with our fears. Fifth seal opens. How long? How long? Blood at the altar becomes a song. Six seals shatter, sky like glass. Kings of the earth hide in the cracks. Wars and rumors of wars, spoken like a curse in the dark. Every headline, every scar is another cracked heart in the ark. Wars and rumors of wars, echo from the prophets and seers. When the Lamb breaks the seal, all the old world drowns in its
Hit that like, everybody. All right, I'm just going to jump straight in and go straight to the chat room. Where are you guys? Hi, welcome to the show. It's House Sparks Mornings, mega worldwide. Our lovely friend Jojo from Jersey is going to be joining us in the second hour. In the first hour, it's just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us, you and I. Can I? All right. Maybe boy, I'm tired of being right. I'm getting a little annoyed, and I'm particularly annoyed that everyone seems to be ignoring the fact that I'm right, especially when it comes to the ongoing fighting in Iran, between the U.S. and Iran. Trump is obviously practicing market manipulation, Friday announcing that things are good and that he's going to pull back, and then basically firing off over the weekend, and then Sunday saying, oh, yeah, we're done shooting for now, just to try and keep to steady the oil prices and that kind of stuff. And Hal was right, shirts coming soon. Yes. I think they should be hats. red ones with white lettering just to mess with these people. It's so stupid. Every time we turn around, there's this another punt and this ridiculousness. And I'll give you an example, if I may, right out of the gate. This is from Al Jazeera. Again, take all news sources, especially the ones with a thumb on the scale, like the Jerusalem Post and Al Jazeera. There's definitely a lot of thumbage going on. Take them with a grain of salt, but there's some irrefutable realities that most of us would call facts that they can't move past, and that it's by and large, this is a farce. Can we just stop pretending it's not? I'm so like, it's almost becoming comical when the news goes like, oh, they resume talks. We've resumed. Trump has threatened to annihilate their civilization again, or specifically the Islamic State of Iran, therefore giving himself sort of a sideline out in a I just meant the regime, so that he could his fucking fallback is regime change. Maggots, what are you talking about? He's literally going, no, I don't mean the civilization. I was that was before. I was joking before when he said Islamic State. That's regime change. That's what literal regime change is, not this figurative, cartoonish bullshit regime change that he says you kind of have now. It's nuts. All right, so U.S.-Iran MOU. I love how they don't capitalize the O because it's a memorandum of understanding, and the word "of" does not deserve the kind of, regal setting that memorandum does. Just call it them. Nobody cares. Looks at it is proper though. Looks at managing the pain rather than ending the war. Okay. First of all, managing the pain. Managing the pain. That's what you're going to go with. You're going to go with managing the pain. Listen, I personally think we're really talking about managing oil prices, because I was telling you guys about the oil glut, right? You guys remember? Let's see. I'm going to open this preview so I can show you this. Yeah, there we go. Get out of here. Stick this down here and this. So I've been talking about how there's an oil glut on the horizon for a while because of a myriad of things, not the least of which is that the shale revolution in the United States kicked up our output to by about 2 million barrels a day. China was expected to absorb all of that and the extra output from the GCC. So they were all expecting China to, remember, China was going to eat our lunch. China was catching up to us. They were, they're the second biggest economy in the world and all this stuff. And so therefore they're printing millionaires in their middle class, and therefore cars and stuff and growth and all that. Okay. Well, that was a lie to start with. And B, any even remnants of it have been shut down by the CCP and specifically Xi Jinping. So it's not happening. So they now know that all this oil they were preparing to sell, this excess of about 8 million barrels a day that they were planning for. The Gulf states, Venezuela, us, the Canadians, like Norway, certainly Russia, were all prepping for, oh shit. Remember, like what people are saying about the energy needs of data centers? For about a decade and a half, people were saying that about the energy needs of China and the developing world around their Belt and Road. So the idea was, as China expands its Belt and Road, the areas around them are going to, in Africa and the Middle East and in Southeast Asia, are going to blossom with industry and money flowing and a brand new middle class amongst all these folks that will be flowering in the wake of the Belt and Road Initiative, which was always going to be bullshit. But somehow these Gulf states bought into it, and so did we. Although I will say that, at least in the United States' case, if your goal was complete oil independence, you still got some work to do. We use somewhere between right now 20 and 21 million barrels of oil a day in the United States, and we produce 13.5. So do the math. This is the same idiots that tell you that we're energy independent in that regard are the same people who tell you that when we lost $20 trillion in economic activity during COVID and injected $6 trillion into the economy, that somehow that would magically fill the gap. Okay, so I started bringing up a while back that the oil. Let me shrink this down a little bit. Get, you silly thing. Come here. Get shrink it down. I'll do this. There we go. Maybe that'll fit. Okay, and then maybe scroll it up a little. Get over here. Scroll it up a little. It's not liking both my fingers. That's what happened. Oh, I hate opening this in preview. Son of a. Anyways, so you get the point. Right now, let me run you through my theory on this and see what you think of this. And hit the like, share the show, etc., etc., etc. Let's say you're one of the Gulf countries. Let's say you're remnants of the Bush family. And let's say you're the non-drug cartel portion of the Venezuelan, Colombian, Brazilian governments or something like that, where oil was your primary resource to sell. Not goods, not food, not, you're not building ships, you're not harvesting avocados, and dates and whatever. You're not making rugs and TV sets and furniture and shit that people need. You were born sitting on some goo that's in the ground that a bunch of people still need, and you have them ironically over a barrel, right? Because of this. Now, okay. God damn it. All right, I'm just going to move this around. Hold on one second. This is going to drive me crazy because I need you to see be able to see the entirety of this image. Okay, here we go. Let me bring this back to here, and then I'll shrink this guy down. Yeah, and see if this makes it a little more palatable. Son of a... I am going to open up a can of whoop ass. No, I'm going to cook up a fresh batch. All right, this is a little better. I hope. All right, here we go. Now, this is an oversimplification. Work with me on it. It's one of my silly infographics. Until the shale revolution, the world was squeaking by on the bare minimum of oil, and it was in an expansionist phase and an understood, though mythological, expansion of China phase. Okay, and just consider the first 20 minutes of today's show like a lesson in this kind of stuff, because I need people to grasp what's going on and why Donald Trump was saying, I'm going to cut oil prices in half. Your energy costs are going to go down 50%. Why was he saying that in such a way? Why did he feel so comfortable shutting down the Strait of Hormuz in the middle of this? Because they know that ultimately, by 2027, closer to 2028, the oil glut is going to reach almost a panic level where we're talking about bailing out oil companies in the United States as opposed to worrying about the cost of oil. And they're seeing that far out because it's an inevitability because of exactly what I'm showing you here today. So the expectation, all right, there are a few aspects here, and this kind of backwards, but okay. The disruptions to the Strait of Hormuz, whether it's open or whether people find a way around it that are semi-permanent, is going to happen during the third quarter of this year. Whether Trump's war rolls on or not, which it will, whether or not they choke off the Strait of Hormuz and all that kind of stuff, which they will, there's still going to be an evening out of it by the early part of the fall, by quarter three, because they're going to have to find other alternatives. There is an issue in oil demand called demand destruction, which is what electric cars are, for example. In some ways, so are more efficient cars. So, the shift towards more efficient and less polluting vehicles was demand destruction because you needed less oil. Hybrids are a factor of demand destruction. So you may have plenty of supply, but if the want for it goes down, so goes your price. Okay. And if you can't manipulate demand because people are moving on, which is what happens when people get hybrids or electrics and that kind of stuff, then the only thing you have to fuck with is supply. Okay, so the OPEC started choking off supply very specifically. There was also an attempt during Trump's first term where Russia and Saudi Arabia were intentionally raising supply to lower the value of oil because the shale revolution was starting in the United States. It was really taking off post-Obama, which is when it all started. And that oil, they still needed exploration money. And your profits, that's where that goes. We're not going to rely on this old standard. We're going to be able to get shale oil now. And if we can do this, we can extract a lot more. So the Saudis and the Russians tried to choke that off. Okay. And Trump thought they were being friendly to him because he's stupid and thinks that the best case scenario is that the oil price goes down and that anything you do to do that is justified, even war. Okay. So, let me stretch this up a little bit there so you can see this. All right. Now, so by hook or by crook, mostly by hook, disruptions are going to start fading by the third quarter this year. This is the other big thing. This is the demand destruction. Substitutions, EVs and hybrids, specifically efficiencies, are reducing demand. This is the demand destruction. This is the long term. This is what the Saudis and everybody else see in the future. This is why they're talking about their ridiculous line city bullshit, and while they're talking about basically becoming a tourist industry. Hold on one second. I want to make sure that I get the right link so Jojo has the right one. I'm gonna send it's the one that ends in 63. I hope that's the one she's got, but I'll send it to you again, Andrea, in the staff chat. I just realized because I moved cities. I did the show in LA, the Saturday show, and it's got a different link. So anyways, those, by the way, all this good. This is all good. This is why I would say that if you're going to mock people driving cyber trucks, do it quietly. Because it's one of the greatest tricks ever pulled is somehow, and this might have been the entire play that Elon Musk was going for in trying to sidle up to maggots and make them like him, was the fact that these assholes are driving electric trucks. Right? That's the irony of it. Does it look stupid? Maybe. Is it poorly designed and blah, blah, blah? Yes. But can you think of another way to get maggots to drive electric cars and be proud of it? Doing. All right. Anyway, so that demand destruction is primarily where you and I feel it is in this category. Okay. Overall weaker demand, though, which is just fewer cars, like Europe, having a much better structure as far as public transportation, them moving to natural gas or electrifying their commuter buses and that kind of stuff. That also drives it down. And then, of course, the illusion of China's growth collapsing made the future demand weaker. They know it. I know it. You know it. Dogs know it. But and then what happens? Well, everybody who sells this shit can't shift to another thing. There you go. Sorry. Am I getting a message? Okay, we're all right. So everybody who produces oil, us, Venezuela, Canada, Russia, they're not going to stop producing. Thank you, Andrea. They're not going to stop producing oil at this level. They just simply are not. Because that's the only thing they have to sell. Those industries, those businesses, and those countries specifically. If your entire country is based on oil revenue, once it starts to slow down, whatever you can get for it, that's what you're going to get. Because what is your alternative? Again, this goes to who's buying a Russian television set? What kind of an asshole drives a Russian car? Russians don't even want to drive Russian cars. The Saudis are in the same situation. They can gold leaf everything, but it's the same shit. Okay, listen, I told you guys, when I went to Dubai, and I'm not going back anytime soon because it's dangerous. But at one point, I was over there, and I went to the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, ladies and gentlemen. And when I did that, I know where this is. Okay. I was one of the first people to ever go up in it. Okay. Because a friend of a friend, it takes a certain kind of person to run those districts. Hold on. I'm going to open this up in a different thing. Let's see, I close this. Get out of here. And then, why is that shrunken? Hold on. I'm trying to make an image work. There we go. But when I went up in there, I went up in the Burj Khalifa's, on the observation deck, and there's a gift shop there, because there's a gift shop everywhere. And you would expect in a place like Dubai that it would be just like, gold-plated condoms and Coke spoons and like chintzy, rich douchebag shirts and that kind of stuff. That's what I was hoping to find. But when you get up there, all they had were the same shitty keychain golf, whatever. What do they call the little sticks that you put in the ground? Fuck it. Like the caddy covers for your golf clubs. The same kind of tees. I was getting to it. Like the kind of like regular heavyweight printed shirts, right? The thick shitty kind, not the like relaxed, easy to wear, pre-washed looking cool. No, the heavy duty, like heavy metal concert tee, right? And what else? They had, just bottle openers. They had and I don't understand this. They had bottle openers shaped like guitars at the Burj Khalifa. And I got one for Satchel from Steel Panther. I brought the guys in Steel Panther back souvenirs from the Burj Khalifa. Rando as hell. All right. So the awkward part of this is that I mentioned this during my stand-up show because I found this to be insulting to Sheikh Khalifa, the head of the UAE. And I referred to him as Monsieur Khalifa because I was acting as, in this caricature of what I was describing, the unthinking asshole who works in the gift shop who couldn't throw out a bunch of just like copycat garbage and replace it with decent stuff with his goddamn name on it after he gave them $10 billion. You can't throw out, I don't know, $2,000 wholesale worth of garbage and replace it. The dude gave you $10 billion. Like, you guys are assholes, was my point. But because I said Monsieur Khalifa instead of Sheikh Khalifa, I was almost arrested by the religious police. And almost wasn't allowed to leave the country. So I'm not going back. Point is that all of that shit that they were selling, let's see, I'm going to download this. Can I, share that? Save it. Oh, for fuck's sake. This, because I want this moving, but whatever. So point is that they had nothing else. They would have had to order it from overseas. All of those golf tees and all that shit would have come from, would have had to go through the Strait of Hormuz. That's how everything works there. But there is no future where right now, I mean, FinSec, AI, fucking crypto, they're all diving in on that. Why? Because these are non-resource intensive products. you buy the chips and the servers with the money you got from the oil, and then you put them in a building and you bury it underground because it's cold down there, like below the earth. And that's one of the few things you could do. And then you pump in seawater from 100 miles away to cool it. It's just, so what the fuck else are they going to do? So you've got oil, right? You've got oil. You've got oil, and that's all you got. So when the shit starts getting back to normal and you can pump it out again, you're going to go back to selling it, whether the price is going down or not. And back to here. This is the thing. All right, where are you, silly thing? One video selected. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drag it. Give me this. Because I will show you something that's annoying me. I'll put it in the movies thing. That's what I'll do. Take this and drag it over to here. Excellent. Yeah. And then I'll close this and then it'll work. Now I got you. Yeah, here you go. So let me put this up again. That's funny. Be quiet. All right. So the glut is coming. Right here. This look, I animated it. That's what I was trying to show you. This is so stupid. I know. But so if you've only got oil to produce, that's what you're going to make. That's what you're going to put out. You're just going to keep doing it. You're going to fill the world with oil because that's all you've got. All right. Now, what are the other factors? The non-OPEC growth. That's us and the country, and technically the ones that left. The UAE is going to be producing more oil, whether they like it. Thank you, CSL. I was getting nerdy about this. God damn it. I was very proud of this because it took me a while to get the prompt to figure out what I was doing. AI can be a little not so advanced and not so super and not so intelligent. I'm just saying. So it takes you a while to get it to do shit. Don't even get me started on it trying to figure out my goddamn logo. Oy. We're very lucky, though, that we had a cool thumbnail today for the show. It likes JoJo from Jers a lot. So it worked very hard on making her look good. That said, so non-OPEC growth and then supply rebound. All right, think about right now. We have no, like currently prices are up, but they're not hyper elevated because I think the Trump administration tipped off China and a couple of other people to hey, we're going to do this war thing, fill up your stores and get ready to bring them down. They didn't think it would last this long. I think they bullshitted everybody and told them it would take 6 weeks. And that's why it's getting depleted to the point where it's making people really nervous. The strategic reserves that different countries have. And China has definitely been burning through theirs, but at a slower pace, again, because the demand they have is largely an illusion. They have space for that growth that never occurred. But over here, the supply rebound, 8 million barrels a day on top of what's happening are going to return to production levels in 2027, probably somewhere around Q2. And no one will be able to stop it because the people that are selling it don't have anything else to fucking sell. So there's my theory has been for a bit that if, let's just say you're an evil motherfucker, work with me on this. Imagine yourself being totally evil and you produce oil. That's how you fund your evil empire, is through the sale of oil. And you know that you're watching the same markets and how they're turning, and you're watching the demand go down. You're watching the direction of the public, moving away from oil since the 70s, quite frankly. And that you might be able to stave this off for a while. There might be fits and starts, but this is an inevitable result. This is how this runway ends. At some point, we move past oil. We either run out before we no longer use it, or we stop using it before we run out. That's how this ends. And the question has always been, is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? But we've been hearing that since the 90s. And the groups involved in this, specifically the Gulf states, and I would argue Bush family and their friends in Texas and other folks that rely on oil as their, toehold on economic power, manipulate the market and have for a very long time to maintain that, that imbalance of supply versus demand. Keep demand higher than supply, and you'll guarantee yourself a price on this thing that nobody else but you has. Well, when it comes to renewables or city buses shifting to natural gas, all of a sudden, over the last decade and a half, Norway and other countries are in business. They can use natural gas on all of their public transit. That's a huge, just stripe that off the balance sheet, off the asset column. A guaranteed sale. Just chuck that one right out the fucking window. Same thing in the United States. Again, as ridiculous as, as maggots are, most maggots can't wait to own an electric truck. That's amazing. But the rest of the populace, it's just a matter of time. Right? I know my next car will be an advanced hybrid at the very least, but more than likely fully electric. That's my goal. And I think a lot, oh, that's awesome. I'm glad JoJo likes the thumb. So they know this is coming. So they've only had a couple of tools available to them, namely throttling supply. But you're running out of ways to do that because, like, the UAE and other countries are like, you guys may be making enough money off of oil for what you did because you've been planning for this for a while, but we aren't. Your Project 2050 or whatever the hell that is that you've been prepping for this whole time is giving you a lot of room to fuck with the supply line, and you can let the price go up and down. Russia was doing the exact same thing. But because of the Ukraine war, Russia can't do that anymore. And because of the surrounding Gulf states sick of basically living off the tit of Saudi Arabia, namely the UAE, Qatar, and arguably it's like half and half between Bahrain and Kuwait. They're just sick of living in Saudi Arabia's shadow. And they've got access to a lot of those oil fields, and they could do a Kuwaiti, I drink your milkshake, Iraq situation fairly easily. And the UAE was lowering their output to largely please the Saudis as the big dog in OPEC. But they left. They stopped. Why? Because the price got really high. It's only going to last so long. And they decided we're just going to sell as much as, make hay while the sun shines or whatever. They got to sell as much as they possibly can. When oil spiked, their whole thing was, oh shit, let's start producing and selling stuff as fast as we can. Well, that drives the price down. And even in a situation like this, even where there's a war in Iran temporarily. But as soon as it's off, they're not going to dial it back. They've got no reason to. I mean, maybe there's maybe they could rejoin OPEC, which would be, again, file that under fucking stupid. Saudi Arabia also wants to take over OPEC, not have Iran in power. Yes, that's true. And the jockeying will be, is there Iran's oil reserves will become a major player in all this. That's been one of the other ways that the Saudis and the GCC have stymied supply reaching market, is by isolating and ginning up the hostility between them and Iran while building up their relationship with the United States and Israel. It's a play to fuck with the supply lines again. Now, there's a real easy way, and easy in air quotes, but to solve all this shit, which is a steady, obvious, directed, and persistent approach towards renewables that don't require fuel sources shipped from anywhere to anywhere. And that right now, ladies and gentlemen, in 2026 is possible. It might not have been in 1982 or 87, 95, maybe even the early 2000s. Certainly, it helped shift things when Obama was in office and the shale revolution happened here. But all of this can end much quicker than anybody ever thought. And that's what you're seeing in the Middle East. There's a huge panic about this. I mean, the whole we talked about the line city and all that garbage a few weeks ago. That they just killed that thing entirely because that was one of their solutions to oil being useless at a certain point, because they were like, we'll just be a tourist destination for the 1.5 billion Muslims in the world that have to make the Hajj, so they have to come down here. So we'll give them a bunch of other shit to do, and we'll Disneyland their money out of their pocket. And it's not going to work. It's the same problem with that China has with AI. They have to have their AI has to have a glass ceiling on it. It can do a lot of stupid shit up to a certain point. But if you ask it any real questions, or it has to deal with real economic numbers, let's say your business makes something in China, you can't get honest answers from it about the economics of whatever industry you're in. So why would you use it? It's stupid. And they have to do that because of how the country is run, because they can't, it's so aggravating. So sorry I went on this. I'm not sorry. I needed to go on this particular rant this morning to remind everybody that the oil glut manipulation that we've been seeing is still on deck. And a lot of these folks know it. And it's why Trump, I think, believes, and maybe it's Nutlick or somebody whispering in his ear, they know this is the direction shit is going as well. They know it. So let me jump in and show you something else. So the idea that they're worried about oil prices in the short term from this, they're assuming even if they get screwed out of the midterms, Trump can look like a hero, he thinks, leading into 2028 because oil's going to cadaver. And he's going to say, we drill, baby, drilled, and that's why this happened. And it is, first of all, we are not drill, baby, drilling anywhere. Our production has gone up a marginal and statistically expected level since the shale revolution. Yeah, dig we must, right? It's on the same arc it's been on. And the only variations that were extraordinary was the drop in production during COVID, along with everything else. Jesus. And now you see why I am irritated at this fragile U.S.-Iran ceasefire strained. Bahrain and Kuwait targeted by Iran. This is all a farce. All the back and forth between them. The Trump administration has no, I don't know that the Iranians even expect them to, but they have no plans to honor any agreement they make. They do not. They will not. They're not going to. Period. End of story. This is Trump realized that it dragged on too long, so they need a pause to hopefully make oil, steady the markets a little bit, let people build up their reserves a little bit so that they can do it again and finish it off. And if you listen to the language of the maggots, and we'll talk to some of them, obviously, or at them later on today on the afternoon show, you know that. You know that they're all like, finish the job, right? On everything. This whole U.S. and Iran will stand down for now. They didn't do. All right, they're just not going to. This will be broken by this afternoon. This is absurd. They'll just not report on the attacks, and in many ways, you could almost check the market manipulation that happens, because I haven't seen much about the actual exchange of fire, including like major strikes within Iran. We did airstrikes inside Iran. And like, honestly, the reflecting pool got more news because it's hilarious. Technical talks. Again, how do you have technical talks if you can't even agree on the broad strokes? Boy. Remain on track to what? Fail? Said a U.S. official. Said a U.S. official. They were calling Trump at midnight. He was just blathering. It's not clear yet what Iran's position is on the matter. What are you talking about? What is this? For real? Is this not some of the dumbest shit you've ever read in your life? That's under key developments. I'm gonna whatever. They remain on track. It's not clear yet what Iran's position is on the matter. This weekend's military action is testing. Is it an initial agreement that was supposed to halt hostilities during 60 days of negotiations? Supposed to? Is supposed to? Why don't you supposed to? Think a supposed to up your ass. Strait of Hormuz. The official also said vessels can move freely in the strait, but the interim agreement has not been reflected in the waterway. They were talking to Trump. They were talking to Trump. That's who says that. The Iranians are like, no, it says in the agreement that we control it during the 60 days, and we'll talk about opening it after. In Lebanon, Iran says full withdrawal of Israeli forces from Lebanon must be a part of the final deal with the U.S. as fighting with Hezbollah further strains peace efforts. Okay, so we'll talk about a bunch of this stuff, but again, it's so peculiar. Trump, I can't tell if he's just thinking he can bullshit past this because his followers are so fucking dumb and he has such disdain for them, or if he literally doesn't know that the first paragraph, the first clause in it mentions Lebanon 3 times. The agreement, the Memorandum of Understanding seems almost like it's a Memorandum of Understanding about the battling between Hezbollah and Israel more than the U.S. and Iran. Somebody's like, BYD cars don't need gas. Right, they're electric, but they also have the shittiest battery setup in them, are poorly constructed, and there's a reason why they stand for burn your driveway. Yeah, here's a fairly decent, I guess, title for all of this stuff. And this should just sum up everything. There have been 4 agreements on Lebanon in June alone. None of them have stopped the fighting. You don't understand. Because, first of all, 2 of them have been brokered by the United States on behalf of a deal they're trying to work out with the Iranians that the Iranians may not even be able to live up to themselves. So Hezbollah might be fighting on the premise that the IRGC never means to live up to the MOU or any deal come out. So they're going to keep fighting anyways. The Israelis don't like this deal, so they have no impetus to stop fighting. And the Lebanese government, if they had control of Hezbollah in the first fucking place, this wouldn't be a thing. That we wouldn't even be talking about them fighting. They would have been part of an international coalition to wipe out Hezbollah in their territories, like the ISIS shit that we went through. Oh, this is good. Somebody in the chat room said BYD is the #1 electric car selling in the world. You're adorable. Go see my videos on how they sell them, license them, and then park them in a field and watch grass grow around them to create the illusion that they're selling a bunch of them. They don't have the consumer base to sell the cars that they're selling. It just doesn't exist. I mean, I could show you again, but go look it up. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, exactly. Just ask the Chinese government. They'll tell you. Everybody's got one. Right. To this day, you still call them Daesh. Yeah, the ISIS. Right. That's the derogatory term that the rest of them. Um, oh, I've heard about it. It doesn't exist, but I've heard about it. The BYD sodium battery. So the anyways, we're going to see this Israeli warplane carried out an airstrike on the outskirts of Deir Saryan Taybeh area in southern Lebanon. Lebanon's official news agency said, adding that Israel also fired a cluster munition near the town of Shabah, close to the Israel-Lebanon border. And Israel saying they have people trapped in, like the Hezbollah fighters trapped in an underground thing. We're doing this again. It's we're bombing the underground facilities again. Where have we heard this before? It's pathetic. Not only are the people negotiating on both sides of the Iran deal, and well, I would say the same thing about the Lebanon Israel one, but the Lebanese don't have control over Hezbollah. That's the point. It's like if they have a confederacy in the southern part of their country. If the Confederacy still had control of the southern part of the United States directly, it's not like an ISIS takeover or people just how they have people in the parliament. Anyway, so Israel and Lebanon talking to each other means nothing in terms of whether Hezbollah will agree to stop fighting with Israel or whether Israel thinks Hezbollah, like that they can use that as a target in perpetuity forever. And the idea that we would argue about peace between Israel and Lebanon when Israel and Lebanon aren't fighting, Israel and Hezbollah are, and Hezbollah is the proxy. And why would they keep fighting? They keep fighting because they know the IRGC isn't going to live up to their side of the MOU and that they're just playing Trump. And Trump is so stupid that he's either desperate to close a hole right now until he can work up the nerve to taco again, or the people around him are going, we're reloading for the big attack. It's going to be regime change, but we're going to do it, in late July, August, a month of just shocking, exciting bombing, so that when we go back to relative normal, by the time we get to the election in November, things will have settled down and it'll be this big fucking macho year that Trump has had. I read in 5 years, the U.S. defaults on its debt loans. The U.S. is screwed no matter what. No, doesn't work that way. These are bonds. People sell these things. We don't. The idea that it will overtake is silly. Like, that's not the issue. Again, the leveraging of these things isn't worrisome because it won't work. It's worrisome because it will. So, overall, I just needed to go on that particular rant. Meanwhile, in Maggot Town, they're having a big panic attack because even though they were given, Trump was given power to fire people within the administration, which was always debatable and always a possibility and relied largely on norms. Can we just assume from this point on that anything that was not legislated or handled through, some sort of legal framework or constitutionally has guardrails on it that are very specific and has just been going because we expect our presidents to act like human beings, that all that shit is on the chopping block. And the only answer to it is voting. Sorry. And to all the fuckers who didn't vote, this is what you voted for. Handing over the power to people like this. Freely, by the way. So, because when you don't vote, there's a plus for your opponent that is greater than, that adds on top of the people who voted against them. I vote against somebody, they know I don't like them, and my flag is in the ground and it is counted. And they have to be concerned if there's a number of me and a certain amount of voters out there, and they know that I'm out there and that I vote specifically, like a fucking adult. But if you don't vote, you don't count. And they aren't worried about your vote ever. You can fucking protest and march all you fucking want. But if they know statistically you're not going to vote, they're not worried about their job. And they never will be. And especially if they think, well, you don't really vote. You just vote in primaries and try to fuck your party. You don't vote in the general. There's a ton of that in the slacktivist class and the Democrats. And it's partly what allowed MAGA to eat, by and large, the Republican Party. It's because they will simply vote in the primaries, but not the general, especially if their person didn't get in. But even in a lot of cases, even if they did, so if you vote and they know you voted against them, there's that flag in the ground and they know they have to deal with you. But if you didn't, you don't exist. And so in a district that's 60-40 or 70-30 Republican, that would be closer to 50-50 if everybody voted for what they could actually accomplish. They were pragmatic adults and voted for the party that best represented their beliefs and stuff and worked, again, within the party to try and grow this thing because they're not going to be able to leapfrog past it no matter what the fuck they do. But if they acted like adults for, God forbid, 3 elections in a row, and you got the district closer to 50-50, it means that they cannot elect a full-blown maggot in that district anymore because they know they won't get reelected. But if they know you're going to stay home, or the slacktivist fuckers are going to just they'll walk the block and yell, and they'll make signs at you, but they don't go to the voting booth. And when they do, it's only to primary their own and never to actually show up for the general. And when they do, they leave President blank or some horse shit like that. They know that person that's a flag on their side. That person guarantees that it drives the information around the other side's voting mechanism, but not the actual vote itself. So they don't care. And they consider it a win. Which is kind of hilarious considering, well, I'll show you this real quick. This is Bill Mitchell flipping out about Amy Coney Barrett and Roberts. And what are they flipping out about? Well, they're flipping out about, see if I can shrink this down a little bit, that the Supreme Court, here you go. The Supreme Court ruled that if you postmark your ballot on Election Day, if you mail it on Election Day, you have 5 days for the post office to deliver it and for it to be counted. Yeah. If you vote on Election Day, your vote counts. That's what they're mad about. And Roberts and Barrett sided with the liberals on the court and preserved that right. And they are losing their shit about this, even after the whole TPS thing, all that stuff. But Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts joined with Sonia Sotomayor, Kagan and Jackson to protect the right of people who voted on Election Day to have their votes counted for at least 5 days. You have to, remember the old adage, it used to take 7 days to mail something in, but interstate, the idea they gave you 5. Sorry, if you vote by mail and it's postmarked on Election Day, your vote counts. You got in. Okay. There's also, who thinks these assholes, first of all, they don't like voting, but who thinks they want to stop here? Tie this up with the Electoral College and the fucking Jan 6ers running up the steps. If it's not counted today, Trump is still president. That's what they're aiming for. White male landowners can vote, nobody else. Maybe some of Trump's friends from, Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America, but nobody else, rich people, they can vote. You can't. And we'll control the election so that the governor is elected through an appointment process, and that the governor gets to pick whether or not the electorate was correct about the voting, so they control who the electors are. And if the electors decide to go to Washington and say, actually, even though everybody voted for Harris or whoever, or Newsom, whoever it is, in this election, we think it's better for the state if Trump wins or one of his acolytes. That's the goal. That's why they're trying to limit voting everywhere. Because they don't believe voting is a right. They think it should be a privilege, and that it should be a privilege of the elite class. And they don't even hide it. So this is part of their freak out. 5-4. That's what one vote. That is the margin by which election integrity lost today. Okay. Nobody thinks election integrity is lost if people who mailed their ballot on election day has their vote counted. By the way, if it arrives within 5 days. Now, here's the thing. That's already shortened from 7. And you bet your ass Trump is going to want more power over the Postal Service to expand that. Like they're mad that it's 5 days because most of the mail in state can be, can get from the person or the mailbox to the electoral, facility, wherever it's being mailed to, in 3 days inside a state. That's what they're pissed about. They want the Postal Service to slow shit down around election time so that if it doesn't get in by that day 5, it doesn't count, even if it was mailed on the day. How is that election integrity? Seriously. How do they defend the integrity of saying that if a person votes on voting day, they mail in their vote, it is postmarked on the day, and the Postal Service doesn't get it there within 5 days, what they believe, what they said, what they want in their representative government doesn't count. And if it did, that would be a violation of election integrity. Because they don't want elections. We've done the Paul Weyrich quote multiple times, but that's what that's about. They're chipping away, and like cutting off the strands to isolate the voting system as much as they can so that they can drown it. That's the purpose. Now, I do want to throw in something that's particularly wonderfully stupid. Big case being made all over the place that the Iran war. I'm very excited about this idea. I'm gonna, you know what? I'll bring her in for this because I think this is a conversation worth having. But I want to show. Yeah, let me 3, 2, 1, and there she is, ladies and gentlemen, JoJo from Jersey. Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me okay? Because I wasn't
You
sure
sound
if I picked the right
great.
microphone.
No, you sound great. It's
Okay.
yeah.
Hi.
So I was just about to bring up one of this idea that a lot of maggots are relying on as their copium Linus blanket, that Donald Trump doesn't want a war with Iran. He doesn't want regime change. He doesn't want any of these things. Netanyahu whispered in his ear and said, Klaatu Verata Nikto, or, some shit. And Trump, Manchurian candidated his way into the Iran war. And it isn't that it was last on the list of PNAC and Donald Trump is just a fucking Republican at this point.
Yeah. I don't understand how he can simultaneously be the most powerful person on the planet and also Netanyahu's bitch. How does how do these two?
Yes, the dough-headedest motherfucker that ever lived. Everything he doesn't, like anything maggots don't want him to do, somebody else is making him. I don't, or like with the Epstein files, they're stunned. They can't. Why won't he? I can't put it to. And I swear to God, it's so absurd. It's hard to respond to it because it's not their normal just manipulation and selling him as some sort of, superhero. It's them. You either are that stupid or pretending to be that stupid. And both of them are fucking ridiculous. You manage to tie your shoes and wipe your ass. That's the bare minimum for why he's not releasing the Epstein files.
Right. Well, they're so stupid. They're so stupid that, again, he's the most powerful person on the planet, and yet 500 plus days since Biden was president, everything that's wrong is somehow still Biden's fault.
Right.
He's not powerful enough to undo the influence of someone they said was infirmed and basically wheelchair bound 500 plus days ago. I don't understand those two truths at the same time either.
On top of that, the ACA, worst thing that was ever done to healthcare was the worst, but you can't come up with anything better. Like, if it's the worst, conceivably the worst thing ever, it wouldn't have gotten passed. But the worst, let's magically, they passed the worst thing ever. You can't beat that. You can't sit around for a week and come up with something slightly better than the worst. I got nothing.
My favorite are the people who wanted to repeal the ACA without realizing that it was the same thing as Obamacare.
Right.
So they're like, wait a minute, I get Obamacare. You're going to take away my health care. I thought they were different things.
So, all right. We have all of our maggot adjacent, Marxist millionaires like Jimmy Dore and that crowd. I want to see if I can show you this. It may change your name on here real quick, but I want to show you is this the guest in the news over here? Yeah, this will do it. There we go. I just want to point this out because this is a double whammy. This is him going, your government is not stopping. The government is fully occupied by Zionists. Your government puts another country before America. How much longer will Americans take this? And first of all, he's quote tweeting a Shadow of Ezra post, which is a QAnon account. Put that aside. Like, these are the people who Shadow of Ezra has said that Hillary's been hung at Guantanamo, I think a total of 8 times. They clone her and then hang the clone, which seems like an abortion to me, because I don't know how a clone can be guilty of the things it never did, but whatever. Anyway, that's this account. But what are they posting about? An Israeli flag was raised and elevated at the same level as the American flag at the Great American Fair for the 250th anniversary. Israel has nothing to do with the founding of America. All right. Can we look at what it is? First of all, it's in one of these little church rooms where people are singing, and his like rededication to God shit that he's talking about, like God and religion and God, like it's a fucking can of generic beans from the 70s. And there's fucking, in this little hall where they're bitching about this, there's no one there. There's no one. It's the funniest part is that the state fair thing is a fucking, it's like, it brought to you by crickets. I don't understand. And then this dude is singing like this Yahweh song. He's singing like this Christian Zionist hymnal.
Yahweh, 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 Yahweh.
I'm just saying, if you had more lyrics, maybe you'd have more people in the audience. Like, maybe there was somebody there like, I got it. Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. It's like a musical by Charlie Brown's Teacher. Wah, 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 wah. You can't just sing the name of God over and over again.
By the way, my daughter's Zoom birthday party during COVID had more people in attendance than that thing.
I don't doubt it. It's amazing.
Yeah. And today he tweeted that it was packed. It was packed. I've seen more people at the DMV on a Sunday in the middle of a nor'easter during a norovirus outbreak than were at this. And Fox keeps running pictures. Carolyn Levitt, Dean Cain, they're all putting pictures up of nobody there.
Right. Like Dean Cain shot a picture from the top of the of the Ferris wheel, and there's no it's. If I didn't know better, I think these were spoof accounts you and I were running. Like Unreal Dean Cain or some shit like that.
Shadow Dean Cain.
Shadow Dean Cain, right. It's so brutal. And I guess, I'll see if I can find the picture, but like he's using footage of like from Fox News to basically say that people are. It's so fucking lazy. I hate it, and it's so they need to try harder. Honestly, that's what they really need to do. You just need to be seen trying harder.
Did you see the arch?
Oh, the arch. Yeah.
Onto it. They won't let people walk under it now because they're afraid it's going to collapse on them.
Fall on them, right?
A cone.
Because it's fucking cardboard. Yeah, here you go. Thank you for putting this in the staff chat. We'll show you this. Okay. I don't understand. How in the fuck? This is what are you doing? What are you doing? It
looks like, look at all those vandals. Like, it looks like the vandals in the reflecting pool at Tony.
It's like
the world's saddest Where's Waldo?
Yeah, Loozapalooza. This is my favorite part, though, is the follow-up part of this, where somebody asks him, was it well attended? And he says, yep. Yep's your answer. Yep, you're going with yep on this one. Obviously, clearly, the word obviously or clearly wouldn't be useful. And those adjectives should go right out. Just a light affirmation with a half affirmation. Jesus Christ.
Seriously, I've seen bigger crowds of people watching someone parallel park. Right?
Yeah. This is amazing. Right.
Yeah, but it's packed.
I don't know how all right. So the question is all right, good. Yeah.
I'm sorry. But like there's no rides, there's no food, there's no meat on a stick.
Right.
It's just boxes of potatoes and racism.
Which you would think would draw a much bigger crowd if you watch the news, but apparently, even though it's sad when you've lost the obese racists that normally are good crowd fillers at it,
If they take up more space.
It's one of the reasons why Trump's rallies look so full. It's just like I'm convinced some of them are carrying a hat on their fist. You're going to take up 2 chairs, you have to wear a hat on your fist. That's the rule. It's so brutal. So, and again, I'm watching these people day after day, and I'm sure you're seeing it, watching them turd polish, and on behalf of this idiot, he wiped his calendar today. They even closed press on his executive order signing. Like allegedly he's still signing it, but nobody's going to watch. And the diaper display is one of the biggest parts of the show where he's like, look, Dad, it made a boom, boom, where he holds up his signature.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's health related, but.
Yeah, when they tell him, my favorite part is he talks about the auto pen, but they have to tell him every executive order he's signing like he's hearing it for the first time. He's like, what's this one do again?
What do you mean like? What do you mean like? He's totally hearing it for the first time. It's amazing. Like, what's this? Wow, that's a big one. And now he started being amazed that his signature looks reasonable. That's a good one, huh? Like he signed a few things and they haven't looked good.
Right. Can we just sidebar on him falling asleep in these things now in front of everybody? And that this is just like the one with Dr. Phil the other day. This is just normal now. He's full on REM.
Yeah.
And they're just standing around him. He's fart sleeping. And it's just like, this is just what we do.
My favorite was the woman at one of the health things that they did the other day. And she was doing this because he clearly filled his diaper with soup right in front of her. He farted during the Medal of Honor ceremony. He farted during the it used to be kind of interesting to catch it, right? It was like, oh, here was one of those. Now it's like, oh, it's just reruns, and I do mean runs. So All right, we got to talk about a few things, and I want to clear up. But and at some point, I want you to let us know if there's a story that you think isn't getting enough attention. I'll let you grind on that for a little bit, and we'll bring that up in a little bit. So that I have to give people more warning because the story that you think is not getting enough attention, and it's a specific thing that sticks in your craw, maybe, or whatever. But we got to talk about the we've dealt with sort of the MOU and the falseness of it, but we'll deal with that more as fighting continues. But we got to talk a little bit about Natalie Harp and that story. The Ivanka stand-in of the month. There was one picture of her that I saw recently, and I was like, wow, she looks too much like Ivanka. So much so that I was like, this makes too much creepy sense.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
well. I wonder if she makes him or he makes her go by Ivanka at this point. Like, don't call me Natalie, call me Ivanka. Yeah, so she's got real horse teeth. I think Ivanka's horse teeth are fake. I think Natalie's might be real.
Well, there's a I'll see if I can find this shot of her. Yeah, this is her at this state visit, the Chinese, when she was at the Chinese banquet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, she's selling Ivanka.
Yeah,
that's what's going on. Like, she's
like
really selling.
Had a baby.
That's totally, yeah. Like with can you do Ivanka with Caroline Leavitt's hair
and her lips? He's obsessed with her lips. They look like a machine gun.
Oh yeah. What is he doing? All right. And like it's gross because he's gross. And I think I have I can do this. I got to do can I do a nut warning on this side of things? I should be able to do it. I'm gonna have to go to the the comms window to warn everybody real quick, if I may. There's gonna be some possible nut sightings, and I just want to warn everybody about that before we when we come back. This is he went and visited the golf course and walked around it, and he's been looking at the sites because they're trying to exercise him. This is like the dog you have to walk or its legs seize up.
Right.
That's why they took him to these sites. Do you want to go? Hey, we should get up. We should go. You'd love that, Mr. No, we should. Yeah, the people love to see you out and about. They'll, they know you're a businessman. We need to let them know you're going to build the world and blah, blah, blah. Right. And this is the shot of him at this. I think this is at Doral or something like that. It's one of the reasons why you don't see him sit down. Look at him mouth breathing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like he's talking to a fucking nurse.
Yep. Oh my God, he's really struggling.
Yeah. And like the huffing and fucking puffing. Like he did that when he went over to to try and strong arm the Senate and failed miserably. Yep. And he walked out of there. I'm sure you saw when he came out and he was like, the war's going very well. I'm like, dude, you walked, it's not stairs where you came from. You walked 20 feet.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the G7 alone, the way he was clutching to every world leader.
Oh, yeah.
Just down a single step. He was clutching Macron's wife for different reasons, but he was still holding on to like every world leader.
Modi, he used Modi like a monkey uses a branch. Like, right. and it's not, again, it's like his fixation about Biden using the auto pen is, I think, because he wants to use it and they're trying to stop him from using it. Essentially, they want to show the Project 2025 people that he is doing their homework. So he promised them a product placement ad. Essentially, is what it is. Like, we'll send you a free camera or whatever you can use in your video, but you got to show it. You got to hold it and smile. Right. That's what he's doing with these Project 2025 pages. He's just signing them and holding them up. And they're like, OK, he can live another month or whatever. We'll not release the Epstein files another month, whatever they've got over him. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, The cognitive dissonance on the right with the Epstein files, like it is marvelous to me, because again they go back to Biden. They always say the same thing to me. Where were you when Biden was in office, Joe? Why weren't you demanding the release of the Epstein files then? That's what they do every time.
Right. Well, because they were on hold in 3 different court systems as of January of 2024, and then the election starts and all that kind of stuff. That and it would have looked. I think that they aired, like they pulled a Merrick Garland. They aired on the side of balance, and they were basically saying, "Well, look, we don't want to look like we're attacking him with the Epstein stuff."
Yep, I agree. But again, it's all they have is they always go, but Biden, but Biden. And
right.
It's the defense of your guy. But maybe with Katie Fang's case, that will actually make some progress getting things released.
Yeah. And this is okay. These are the pictures of Natalie Harp that that are thirst trapping the magosphere right now. And maybe she's jockeying to be his nurse for when she knows Melania is about to jump ship, but she doesn't know why, which is that the coffers are actually bare and there's nothing actually happening. I don't know if you've seen the TMTG stock price lately, but damn,
no.
It's sorry, I have to show you this. So I want you guys to realize that I'm fairly certain. Let's see, 1 year. Let's go to 1 year. Yeah, the 5 year. Where is it? Yeah. So this is the stock. I'm not going to show you the stock price right now, but see that the top spike on the left right there, that big high one, okay, way over there. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where Marjorie Taylor Greene and all those folks invested. They were like, "Oh shit, it's going to the moon." And so this from here to here, that's all them. This is 2022. This is when they're like, "Oh fuck, man, he lost, but he won, and he's going to take over, and he's going to have the new Fox News and all this stuff." And they started dumping their money in, and this shit went from $71 to $91, and then it went to $97, and they're all still getting in at this point. And then I think this moment was when he hired Devin Nunes.
You God.
All right, and then it goes up a little bit because they're convinced that when he comes back in office though, shit, here we go. And then and so people who invested, maggots who invested in Trump Media and Technology Group at $70 to $90 a share, thinking they were buying the dip here when it plateaued. When it's, you see a straight line, this is idiots who think there's a plateau, who fall off another cliff and then plateau, and then I'm buying the dip. It's going back up, probably up, and then it would plateau. And he's buying up, they're getting, donors to buy chunks of it just to make it not fail and all that stuff. And then let's see where it is right here. Yeah, this is where they decide, like right about here, I think. This is where they decide we're going into crypto, baby. And Eric and Don get into crypto. And then literally this is all the crypto losses.
Oh my God.
It's worth right now $7.22.
Wow.
Their IPO hit 90, like on day 94.20 on day 2. Yeah, 68 million shares. All those people lost their fucking shirts, and it's glorious. And it's still gone down almost 3% today.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could almost buy a hot dog at the state fair for what that stock is worth.
Yeah, right. And it would do almost as much good for your portfolio.
And your body.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, you go to the hibachi stand and get whatever the hell that they're selling. And I'd like to say for the record that everybody is a big fan of today's thumbnail because you look fantastic in it. It's a really good one. So you and I in the reflecting pool fishing with alligators all around us. And we caught the Epstein files. So we'll talk about a little bit of that. So where are you on the this is all a distraction, or the Epstein files are going to have to be a distraction from this? It's gotten so bad.
Oh God, I mean, it's like everything is a distraction from everything else. But I think at the end of the day, the one thing that's really existential for him is Epstein. I think that when we've seen all the moves that he's made related to Pam Bondi being fired and Todd Blanche being installed, how desperate he is to cover this up, those meetings in the Situation Room, people know, right? Like they know that this is the biggest threat. Plus, he's already attacked his own supporters for demanding these files. He's already, called them names over this in the past, and everything else that's happened since then is, I think, distraction, but also enrichment. I think that the corruption is still a big part of all of it too. Like, I think that that's part of why he keeps prolonging the war and going back and forth with whether the war is a war, it's not a war. His sons are getting rich. Witkoff and what's his name are getting rich.
Jared, yep.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, if those things ever really do see the light of day, particularly the stuff that relates to him and that 13-year-old that we have not seen all of, I do think that might break some of the spell. I think that we've seen that chipped away at. So I think that I don't know that he's so purposeful that he does everything as a distraction, or if he's just a fucking impulsive, toddler and he wants what he wants when he wants it. He's a Baruch assault all the time. But ultimately, I think the biggest threat to him is what's in those files related to him. I mean, this has been dogging him for forever. And he's lost Marjorie Taylor Greene over it. He lost Thomas Massey over it, Nancy Mace. All of these people are heading out of Congress.
He lost the Hodge twins over it. He lost the Hodge twins over it. He lost, there is a ton of folks, and he's tried to do the throw other people under the bus thing. So Bongholio and a couple of others have caught strays. Pam Bondi, suddenly it's her fault, even though again, he hired her out of Florida. She would have been able to tear up the non-prosecution agreement that had been given, to the Epstein's co-conspirators, but she didn't.
Right.
And maybe she, partly because he was one of her donors, partly because there are a bunch of those folks in Florida government, of the Matt Gaetz coalition, because he and Joel Greenberg were going to be the next Epsteins. That was their whole business plan. They'll be in the ID printings for the 16-year-olds, and we'll fly them to the Caymans and to Georgia and get them high on whatever, drugs and what was it? His things, energy drinks and Viagra, and they would get them hooked on ecstasy or whatever and fly them on fake IDs to the Caymans. And all right, what's in Caymans? In St. Thomas, there's a Trump property. What's close to that Trump property? The dock that goes to Epstein Island, the helicopter pad that goes to Epstein Island. Most of the people who flew to Epstein's Island didn't fly to Epstein's Island. It doesn't have a landing strip. No airplanes land there. It had a helicopter pad, and that helicopter pad was flown by Ghislaine and a couple of his other, supporter helper women. And they would also, I'm sure they chartered ones from the island, but he owned the dock that was close to Trump's property in St. Thomas. Come on.
Yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene did say that when the time that Trump called her to scream at her, or one of the calls that they had about the Epstein files, that something he said to her was that people she knew would be named in the files. And she was like, who do I know that would be in these files? And he didn't tell her, but he said people you know would be hurt by the release of the files. That's what she said on Piers Morgan. So
wow,
yeah,
because he was originally. I remember him saying that my friends will be hurt. He said that to Boebert as well. But to say that she knows those people, I mean, it's obviously not Matt Schlapp.
Totally different island.
Totally different island. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those truck stop islands in the middle of I-440 leaving Tennessee. Don't even. I think it's the one that Tucker goes to.
Wood. Yeah. I like wood. Deeper and longer.
So I can't. So I know that there's a part of them that just in the administration that knows that they're not going to be able to skip this shit. They're not going to be able to dodge this. It's and I've said you can track his declining poll numbers to that memo that they released last year. And then Charlie Kirk's murder was almost a tee off of that. If they don't trust him about that, and then Charlie Kirk gets killed, and then they don't believe anything coming out of the government. It's hard, I think, for a lot of people to comprehend how distrustful they are of Kash Patel not running the FBI, not just the FBI. Like there's a deep state going on there that is hiding the truth about the Charlie Kirk assassination from Kash Patel and from Trump. It's that this is a coordinated thing. The growing feeling amongst those assholes is that Trump was, either okayed the Israelis snuffing him or did it himself because it was going to chip away at, he was going to run, and they saw him as a threat down the line or some shit like that. And again, neither of us have to participate in their fucking paranoid fart air fantasies about what that is, because Trump is responsible for his own shit. He just is.
Right.
But it is a belief amongst them, and it triggered another drop. And then the Iran bombing, around the same time was already having them teeter. And then when he attacked again, and and then he did Venezuela, and he's talking about Cuba, and we're still in Iran, like we're still bombing them. There is the Memorandum of Understanding is a fucking joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where, I think they are jumping ship. I think the thing that most of them will do is not vote. Nick Fuentes has talked to a lot of, said he's going to vote Democrat just to fuck with everybody. Like he's you need to punish the Republicans by voting for Democrats. That's what and he's telling his followers to do it, that this is beyond subterfuge. This is sabotage, because they feel so, that's how strongly they're reacting. Imagine how the rest of the not quite so activist crowd is.
Right. And then you take all of that and you hand it on a platter of everything being more expensive that nobody can deny anymore. Right. Like it's impossible for him to gaslight people into believing that we're the hottest country in the world and that the economy is moving in the right direction when people know what shit costs. You know what I mean? Like I tell this story all the time. A freaking pizza in the state of New Jersey right now is $22 for a plain pie, a plain medium pizza. And and that's just anecdotal, but gas prices, everything else being more expensive. Just go to the grocery store. People know what things are costing, and it compounds all of those other broken promises that were fundamental core issues. Like they don't even care about the border anymore. They'll say that. They're like, okay, you delivered on the border. There's no more people coming in, but it doesn't matter because it's not trumping how much things cost. In fact, we're in a foreign war, and the undeniable truth that they are covering up the Epstein files, and they're covering for him. The cost of everything makes it impossible for them to try and carry out some lie, that all of this other stuff's not happening.
Right. So a couple of things. I want to remind everybody that our beloved JoJo from Jers is not only not singularly available on Shitter, which she's still on there and giving them what for. I abandoned that fiery dirigible a long time ago, but she is also on YouTube, and you should subscribe over there at JoJo from Jers. And we need to get her to 100,000 as well. That's the goal. Like I'm edging near it. I'm 91-ish thousand, and we're getting there. But we need you and Boston Brian and Texas Paul and a few other people. We all need to crack that 100K number. That's got to be the goal. So everybody dig in. All you got to do is subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. So JoJo from Jers on YouTube, and many of you already follow her on Shitter. If you're still on there, just do that too. I'm just saying, it's a little button. You just click it. I'm subscribed, So, yeah. So, and of course you're on Shitter as well. And this was one of the funnier, in kind of going back to our, how much can you sustain this lie? Like some of the lies are just so obvious, like the affordability crisis. Did you ever have that feeling when gas prices would go up and then they come back down, and you're like, but they're still up from where they were? And I'm like, I feel like they're trying to make me grateful for increasing the gas price 10 cents by increasing it 40 and then dropping it 30. Like, I feel like that felt like market manipulation my whole life. I was like, gas prices went up. When they came back down, they didn't go back down to where they were. And they certainly didn't go below where they were. They went above, they went up and they're still there. That's what this feels like. All these costs and everything. And I don't think maybe he does understand. It's hard to tell anymore. But he doesn't understand that inflation still exists. Even if you bring it down or you slow inflation, it's still increasing. Prices are still increasing at almost 3%, everywhere in everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the thing where he's always like, prices will come down. This is one of the things when he said, I love the inflation. You remember that? It went viral. I think he was in the Oval Office or in the cabinet meeting room. I can't remember which one. But the actual quote was, I love the inflation. And then J.D. Vance went on a press tour trying to, polish that knob and said, no, he loves the inflation because when the war is over, it will come back down.
Right,
it's like,
right.
Okay, well, that doesn't make any sense because we're still dealing with it. But also, that's just not how this shit works. We saw that after COVID. The prices went up. They didn't come back down because, like you said, people incrementally get used to paying more for things. If your conditioner was $8 3 years ago and then it's $10 and they raise it to $12 and put a coupon out for $10, you're like, hey, look, it's not $12. Like, that's what they do. And so nobody's buying this shit anymore. I am absolutely convinced that nobody, not even the dumbest mag idiot, is buying this anymore.
Right. And there are two options when you have a price go down below where it was: disinflation and deflation. Disinflation happens in commodities all the time, where you had a bad crop of apples one year and you got a good crop this year. And so the price goes down below what it was the year before because supply improved and all that kind of stuff, which is why the commodities market was a third character or a fifth character in trading places. Frozen concentrated orange juice was the entire process because was the frost going to affect it? And so it disinflates the cost of it. It literally materially is just cheaper to have orange juice than it was. But deflation is bad. That's when people are broke, they can't buy stuff, and people are having to do a fire sale, essentially. Deflation is the fire sale. And at this point, Trump and Nutlick and all these crowds, they don't care which one they get. They just want to be able to point to prices going down. Well, the problem is they can't trigger disinflation. They can't make that happen. There's only so many levers you can pull. And they tried it with Argentinian beef. Remember when they were bringing that in? That's an attempt for artificial disinflation, releasing oil from the strategic reserve. That's what that is. That's artificially creating disinflation. Deflation is where the consumer says fuck it and doesn't buy stuff, or they spend so much money buying one thing they don't buy anything else. So everybody else who sells the non-commodities and the things that people just need. That's why everybody buys, Walmart, Coca-Cola, and fast food stocks when things turn to shit. It's exactly what they're doing right now. They're hedging their bets on tech, and then they're buying the staples because they're really looking at the headwinds in the economy. And that's why everybody from Goldman to MarketWatch, they're all saying we're headed towards a recession that's going to hit us like a brick wall sometime this fall. And all Trump and Nutlick and Besson are trying to do is punt it past the election. That's all they want to do. They know it's coming, but if it's on the other side, if the Democrats win, even better. The economy tanked because people are worried about what the Democrats are going to do. Like, that's what they're hoping for. But again, I don't know how reliable the maggot stupidity is anymore after they've been betrayed this many times. And you posted this. I want to show this. You posted this on X. That's Brooke Rollins? Is it like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother. Oh my God! What they're doing with the farmers is just to your point. They're trying to artificially prevent. You said disinflation. Is that?
Yeah.
She's one of the cornerstones of that. My God.
Yeah. They're trying to manufacture strategic disinflation while not triggering deflation. And the problem they have is the opposite. Everything points to inflation in grocery prices because one of the other petroleum products that got held up in the Strait of Hormuz was fucking fertilizer. Yeah. 67% of American farmers couldn't afford their fertilizer this year. 67%. That doesn't affect you right now. That's not about the groceries that are on the fucking, shelves now. It's this fall and next spring, and that's when the prices start going up. So this is her selling this is them selling the big
Do you
state
ever
fair.
in your wildest dreams think you may be doing your Sunday show from a state fair on the National Mall? How great is this?
DC's not a state.
It's really something. And the weather, not the best today, but people are still coming out.
People are still coming in. Listen, we need rain, so we'll take it. Well, the farmers need the rain, so we're going to be okay with it.
What the fuck, farmers in DC? What are you talking about? That's not farmland behind you, you dizzy. What the fuck is she talking about? Does she think, oh my God, is she like a kid before? Remember when you were a little kid and you didn't realize that just because it's raining here doesn't mean it's raining everywhere? Remember when you were a kid and you realized that you're like, oh, it didn't stop raining. We drove out from under it.
Yeah, I think I learned that around the same time I realized the moon was not following my car everywhere I went, because I was convinced as a little kid that the moon. I was convinced it was
sure about that.
Only my car. Yeah, especially when it was a crescent, because then like Jesus could see out of the front window. Yeah.
Oh right, and he knew where you were going too. Hold on.
We do need rain. First.
We do need rain, and literally there's no one behind them. Like it was the emptiest. People are still coming out. What do you mean? The people who have to work there, who are all indoors in the tent?
All tens of them. The only line at this thing is through the exit. Seriously.
Okay, so a couple questions. I've been to a state fair or two in my life growing up in Kentucky. I'm sure you being a Jersey girl, you've been to one or two. You get your elephant ears, your carny rides. You're like your I mean, do you call them elephant ears where where you are, the big like flat crispy donut-y thing covered in powdered sugar?
No, we call that funnel cake.
Yeah, funnel cake. I don't understand why it's not a funnel. It's just flat. That's like, that's like a flat earther calling that a globe cake.
They pour it out of a funnel. They use a big metal funnel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. So that's a cake decorator thing, for one. That's not a funnel. Secondly, that's the swirly kind that sticks together. We don't have those in Kentucky. They just take a big flat piece of the batter and throw it in some hot grease, and it just cooks. So they call it an elephant ear because it looks like just a fucking gnarly piece of flesh or something. And then they throw powdered sugar. It's exactly the same thing. Anyways, so yeah.
Their own version of like fried dough, right? Like you have Zeppelis, you have beignets, you've got the elephant ears, funnel cake. Everybody has their own version, but that sounds delicious.
Oh, beignets. I hate when people try to play on beignets and make them churro-like, and you're like, that's not how they were. These are fluffy. No. Don't try to harden them up. Don't do it. It's wrong. No. Cover them in cinnamon sugar. What's wrong with you?
Bastard. But a churro has a place in the world. A churro, a proper churro. I
can't because they're shaped like okra, and that triggers me. Like sugared okra. It's terrible. They're also, if they're poorly done, they will exfoliate the roof of your mouth like Captain Crunch, right? And the other thing is that my next door neighbor, Betty Troutwine, Betty used to, Betty, bless her heart, used to make churros for my best friend Kurt growing up, who was my only friend because he was my nearest neighbor was like a half mile away. So we walked the length of both of our, the creek and the property in between us. It was a long walk. And she would make churros for him and just, roll them up, boom, hot grease, and they were free. So it was like, and the reason she made them is because we were poor, and that's how you make treats for poor people. How poor people make treats for their kids to shut them the fuck up. So she would make them for us, and we'd be like, what? He had a TV, we didn't. So I would, sit over there watching, the $6 Million Man eating a shitty churro. But the problem is that they would, when I see them sold for like $250, I'm like, fuck you, that costs less than a nickel. That's what makes me mad.
Poor kid food. That's my cinnamon okra.
That's right. Yeah. What are you doing? So I have a chip on my shoulder about churros for sale. I don't mind that they're available. For that people make them as part of family cuisine and the like.
Yeah.
But man, so we're. Have you thought a little bit on the story that needs covering or needs information? Like it needs more attention.
Yeah. So this I know we talked about the fucking 1776 slush fund that everybody was talking about this for a while after Trump knew he was going to lose his $10 billion bullshit lawsuit against himself and the IRS. But the thing I don't want to sleep on is that the IRS immunity for himself and his spawn and his friends, that hasn't gone away. In fact, Todd Blanche will not say that he's going to get rid of that. So right now, that stands potentially where in perpetuity, and including IRS investigations into him and his family now, this is not going away. And it worries me, given especially what the Supreme Court is doing and just expanding the executive's power over all of the institutions in our government. But this is yet another shield for him and his criminal syndicate, and including his children, which God knows what Jared Kushner's up to, and Witkoff is up to, Ivanka is up to, and their island that they're stealing. But like this story, and I was talking to who did I have on the other day? Goddamn. I had somebody on and we were talking about this. Jamie Raskin. Jamie Raskin has introduced legislation to make sure a couple of things. The slush fund is bullshit and doesn't go to anybody, particularly anybody who was part of January 6th. But this IRS immunity stuff, they can't fly. And like, I don't even know how you put guardrails on it, but nobody's talking about it anymore. And it's given all the corruption and the self-dealing that is on a scale that we've never seen before, obviously, one that would have to take decades probably to even unravel. This one to me is not getting enough attention.
Agreed. I do think that ultimately one of the reasons why is because it's ranking up there with how it will play out legally, like his shit about Greenland and making Canada the 51st state. That there's a certain point where you're like, people are assuming he's not gonna or he won't be able to. I honestly don't think he'll legally be able to protect himself and his family, especially with one of these like Epstein non-prosecution agreements that he's like, oh, that's sweet. You can do that? No, you fucking can't, as a matter of fact. And the Supreme Court kicked that down as well, which is why a lot of the files started to get released, because they needed to be released so that the FBI and other bodies could investigate them in the first place. There was this holdup that had been put on these things that, well, you can't prosecute the people that might be in these things anyways because this agreement exists. So therefore, you can't look at these files, and they can be if they're frozen by a judge. That's not a reason to unfreeze them, is to look at some of the co-conspirators because you can't try them. That's what that's what delayed them all during Biden, and arguably into the fall of 2024 was that, before that got upended. And so I feel like this is the same thing. It will delay it, but long enough for, I think, the Trumps to move their shit offshore. And, most of their investments are offshore now. Most of it, like they just bought into this fucking Kazakhstan tungsten mine. The Don Jr. and Eric did that Trump okayed as a site for us to purchase from, basically granted permission for that to be a source site for the United States, guaranteeing that it would, of all the tungsten sites in the world, you had to walk in a mine. Get it, mine? Anyways, sorry.
Those are explosive claims, Hal.
So, but that's, they're teeing up a bunch of those things. They're treating the United States like renters treat a shitty apartment. They're moving out. The Trump organization, they're not going to be able to. First of all, his name's coming off everything in the United States eventually. Like the Kennedys, like that building in Chicago, he's a fifth investor and it's only a branding deal. His ass is going to get kicked to the curb. But if anybody wants to buy a place in there, they're going to take his name off of it. They're going to, after his presidency is over and they're not afraid of him attacking everybody else who's invested in the building. They'll pry it off like those fucking apartment buildings. Remember after he lost the last time, when the apartment buildings on the shore in Manhattan, they started taking his name off because people didn't want to buy them. And now everybody's like afraid to take the name down, but nobody's moving into the property. Same shit's gonna happen.
I think that, just a sidebar on that, I think that he knows that, right? Like whatever's in his muddled mess of a brain, right? That's why I think he's doing all this shit in DC, where he's trying to build the arch and the ballroom and put up the 47 trees and the Trump whatever it is around the Lincoln Memorial, and why he has the tarp over the Kennedy Center. I think he's doing all this stuff, the reflecting pool, because he knows he has to figure out a way to permanently stain stuff so that people can't scrub it all off, chip it all off, tear it all down. Like he knows that that's what everybody's going to do. So he's trying to do as much of it as possible, hoping that some of it will actually sustain.
They're planting 47 trees in Lafayette Park that are like 3 more trees. So they count as 47.
Yeah.
Like, dude, first of all, it won't be hard to, and believe me, knowing him and his success rate, they'll get some sort of ringworm or some shit, whatever, tree disease and fall over, and it'll go back to 44, and that'll, it'll be just Obama's number. But the next president just comes in and goes, you know what? I know, we added 3 more trees to that, so it's 1 for every state in the union. Wouldn't that be nice? Right. They're going to do that. The little statue garden that he's building, that's the only place where he thinks he can put one of himself and it won't get damaged, because everything will be corralled, and you might, while you're swinging a hammer, you might bump the MLK one. That's why he's doing. That's why he's doing it. But it won't matter. It'll get removed. It's good. All of it's going. And the question is, and this is, will boil down in our last 10 minutes together, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on the show, and I would love to have you back if you ever want to come back. And you're welcome, and you're wonderful. It's great. Terrific. Yeah, well, yay. I'll to quote Matthew McConaughey as Rustin Cole in True Detective, I'll hold you to that. So the question is, we have been from the beginning of this, when his brain was clearly turning to tapioca, which I was very proud that Adam Kinzinger used my tapioca line recently. It's spreading. It's catching on like maggots. That I heard that show up. Maggots show up with the proper spelling. Maggot with all caps, lowercase ts. I saw that show up in an AI Trump song that somebody was fucking with him, and I was like, look at that. I've got, my little turn of phrase from years ago.
Yeah. I believe I use that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's destroying your intellectual property, but yeah.
No. I wanted it to catch on. That was the whole point. I was like, it beats the shit out of Democrats, and you take the B out because people don't know there's a B. And the reason, why does he say that? Why? Do you know why he says that? Why does he say, I have a theory? Well, yeah, that's the other one. But I think you're absolutely right. But I think somebody in the office went, it'll read like Dumbo-crats. And he's like, what do you mean? And they're like, it looks like Dumbo-crats when you write it that way. If you write dumb, and then crats, it looks like Dumbo-crats. And people like Dumbo. He's a sweet elephant and whatever. And the Republicans are the elephant. And so it'll be weird. It won't quite brand. He's like, take the B off. People don't know there's a B on there anyways. That's where he went. He certainly didn't. But that's my theory, is that they were like, it reads Dumbo-crats. And it was like, and somebody had to talk him out of it. And he just went ahead with it. That's why he's explaining the U and the M, and you don't need the B. That's why he's doing it. He's having the same conversation he had with his staff about it, where they're like, it says Dumbo-crat if you write it properly.
I don't know if this is new or if I ever caught it before, but today he posted Obama. Obuma, and I feel like I've never seen him do that, so I'm waiting for because I took the A and I made it a U because of the bum, and like that was a new one. At least I think that's new. Have you seen him do that before?
No, I've heard Obama, but he said that one out loud, right? That was where he mispronounced it, and his big thing is hanging on Hussein. and he doing this. Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? Now, that is him, vainly and ridiculously, I think, trying to say, I am so famous, I don't even know who he is. He's supposed to be so famous. Have you heard of him? But I am truly more well known. And you're like, okay, dude, at a certain point, politicians whose names are that well known rank in the sort of Hitler, Stalin, Mao kind of category. You don't want to be that kind of famous as a politician. You want to be, at best, like maybe who should we go with? Like Roosevelt, maybe, where people, throughout other countries know Roosevelt because of the stuff he did or whatever, or Kennedy because he was assassinated, and they're aware of stuff that he did. But you don't want to be like on the Mount Rushmore of dictators, right?
But didn't he say to Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan that Gary Player's historian caddy that he gave, because Natalie Horseteeth came in with a printout of this historian's assertion that Donald Trump was more famous and impactful than Mao, than Stalin, than Hitler. And he was like, they were like, but this isn't good. And he's like, but I'm more famous than this.
That's like saying that Cancer is the most popular zodiac sign because the disease is so well known. Libras don't have marches. You know what I mean? For right? But nobody's doing a fight against Capricorn march, so that's why it's more popular.
There's no Make-A-Wish.
Right, exactly. For Sagittarius. Although maybe there should be. Let's be honest. Now I'm gonna catch shit from the chat room. What's your sign? Put it in the chat. Let us know. There you go.
I am a Gemini through and through. Yeah, we don't have a March either.
Treva says JoJo from Jersey is what I sound like when I'm watching Hell. Thus I type ha 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 ha. Much love to JoJo.
It's medicine for the soul to laugh. It's so good.
It is.
Feels so good.
56 Niggers says you got to start a swear jar. I don't fucking think so, man. Those things are a bunch of shit. Yeah. You must laugh at this stuff, especially Trump, because again, you can't shame him, but you can embarrass him, and mockery is the way you do it. You mock him, and he can't respond. That's why he hates being called a dope. He had one of his his cognitives. I had one of my cognitives. They said and he said he's a genius who wants to take over the world. I didn't mind that. And then they said he was an idiot. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I should take a cognitive. So he was like he wanted. This is fucked up. He wanted third-party recognition that he wasn't stupid to push back on people calling him stupid. He wanted to know from the doctor, I'm not stupid. Yeah. Geez, I've got courage after all. Like fucking cowardly lion, and I got a paper that says I'm courageous. Like, okay, son of a bitch. So they in these last little bits, when do you? By the way, do you have a live stream schedule that we should know about? You just posted vids.
Well, I post videos, but I do go live every Monday night at 8 p.m. on YouTube and Twitter. I still call it that.
Eastern.
With Tara Setmayer and Eastern time, and Kai Von Stroff. We talk about culture, actually, and not always just the news. And then Wednesdays at noon, I have a show with Tara Setmayer called BFD. And then Thursday afternoons with Brooklyn Dad Defiant, I have the Joe and BDD show. These are all Eastern. So Mondays 8 Eastern, Wednesdays 12 Eastern, and Thursdays 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Those are the 3 shows that I do live.
Great. See, that wasn't so hard, was it?
I've never actually strung that sentence together, so thank you for asking it. Like, force
my
brain
to that's how we make sure that you get to 100,000. That's what we got to do. So everybody knows when you are, so everybody subscribe to her show. And because she doesn't have a Hitler trains level of regularity in her schedule that I have, she can, the one thing I can do is get my trains to run on time. This is because she didn't have that. So hit the notification bell on her channel and subscribe to it. And is as we say in the little thing, where does it thing pop up? There you go. Subscribe.
Yeah, I need all that. I love those fun bells and whistles. And if anybody's not subscribed to Hal and they're subscribed to me, I don't know how they would find me right now. But you have to subscribe to Hal.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, also, you feel free to post this on your channel too. This video, you can always do that, like or whatever. Yeah. So, and then of course, in the last, we do have to beware of the kidney.
Has a very special place in the heart.
That's right. So I don't know that you've ever seen that, but So just sometimes I forget. Yeah, some days I forget and it accidentally triggers. I say the kidney and then it won't do it again. Okay, we're good. If by the way, if I'm going to offer anything to you, if you need any, I've been through every technological hell that exists in streaming. And everybody in my audience knows this. Bless their hearts. Thank you for the 666 super chat. By the way, I'm trying to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. So I'm going to start a
that's big Christmas thing, right?
I know, that's right. They changed the number. I'm changing it back. Yeah, we're going to get it, and then we're going to give 2 floors of it to Habitat for Humanity and call it the Jimmy Carter Center. But that's the goal one day. Boy can dream, can he? But in the meantime, we're at the end of the show. I want to remind everybody, subscribe to JoJo from Jers, just like it's written there, except for the little underscore things, on her YouTube channel and on Shitter. And do you have a Facebook page you stream to as well? Do you do that?
I don't stream to Facebook, but I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky and Threads. I'm everywhere, pretty much.
Right.
But yes, I don't stream to those apps necessarily because it's a little clunky, but all of my videos go up on every platform at some point.
Right. Facebook is getting easier to stream directly from. So what do you use? Are you a StreamYards or a Streamlabs? Are you StreamYard? Yeah.
StreamYard, and we use Riverside for recording, but StreamYard is what we stream from.
Right. So Restream now does vertical and horizontal at the same time from their own studio without even using any other software. I used it this weekend for the first time, which is a really nice thing. So might want to think about it. I'm not selling it. I don't get a dime from them. This is what I use though to get on the air, and I use Ecamm because I'm on a Mac. And I can stream both vertically and horizontally, and it's really helped. It's grown my numbers as much. And we've seen a bunch of maggots show up because of the vertical version. Because they're basically
Where are they finding you? What platform?
YouTube. So I stream on vertically and horizontally on YouTube at the same time. And the vertical one is by and large where the maggots show up because it's bot farms. Honest to God, like that's where the bot farms deal. That if you go to see the Indonesian bot farms where they've got people swiping for a living, they're all vertical. They're not doing any of the horizontal stuff. You have to, all the people who are buying the horizontal stuff buy it through Iran and another country, and Qatar does a lot of this stuff, which is why Tucker Carlson has 7 million subscribers on 7,500 actual paid subscribers on Rumble or whatever. Like he's got fucking nobody. It's all boosted.
Shit.
Yeah.
See,
so that's why.
I would love to stream to Facebook because my Facebook community is really great and really engaged, but I've never streamed there. So if that is easier to do with that.
Restream, you can do it vertically, but you can do it horizontally on StreamYard. I think even right now you can add it as a thing. I'm not trying to dilute your show pool, but if I can, I'm like I try to be a Boy Scout, leave the campsite better than you found it. So if you need any help with that, glad to do it.
And I love and lift all boats kind of mentality.
That's right.
And I think that's fantastic. Yeah.
That's right.
I love that. And I can help lift all boats when it comes to you. I'm here.
I appreciate it. Well, we'll return the favor and we'll collab like they do in the interwebs, and I'll come on your show and we'll share stuff and whatever. And next time I'll give you the link where you can share the live of this on your channel at the same time.
Do that. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, that would be good.
It just automatically does it. So I'll work out those fun stuff. So all right. And anything you ever need, always just reach out. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, there she goes, JoJo from Jersey. I've kept her long enough. God damn it! All right, so see you later. See you in the swamp. Bye. There she goes. Yay! Excellent. Thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna run off right now because my kid was sick last night and he was throwing up, which is sad. But he's better this morning. But he's sleeping now. But I'm gonna go check on him and make sure he's all good. So I'm just gonna bug off right away, and I will see you guys this afternoon. So the link in your channel name. Yeah. How is the kid the KID not an emote? I don't know. It's a good question. The kidney not an emote. Yes. Good question. That's a good question. There should be, I think there is a kidney in there in the organs that's in the regular emojis that you can use, but I will check. That's a good point. We'll remedy that. Well, won't we see us? All right. Anyways, much love. Are we rating anybody? Let's see. Just checking to make sure. If we're not, I will bug out. Nope, no raid. Okay, excellent. Well, I will see you guys later this afternoon. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And you guys are awesome, and that's all you need to say and stuff. See you this afternoon. Hit the like, share the show. Thank you for the super chats, you guys. You're awesome.
Helmet hair shaking on the tarmac. Moon dust still in the folds of my hands. You look up, but your sky is crowded. Tiny screens drowning out the span. Every face glowing in the blue light. Every street buzzing sharp and loud. I float in the gravity of old fights. You laugh like it's just another cloud. Passing from up there, you're a blue marble, bruised paper thin halo, hanging abused. I held my breath as you spun in the dark. How can you burn what you are? How can you burn what you are?
That is me singing.
Saw your eyes through a scratched window. Porcelain balanced on black. Every wall looked like dust and water. Every border just a nervous crack.